This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for therapy. If you are experiencing mental distress, please seek professional help.
We are all simple miracles.
Welcome to the Wellness Project Podcast. I am your host, Wilson. Each episode aims to bring mental health awareness through exploring psychoeducation, scholarly literature, professional interviews, and the personal stories of people's journey to mental wellness. So, with that said, let's get started.
So go line your pockets with anything gold. 'Cause what good is a conscience if it can't be sold? And we are all simple miracles.
If you are considering therapy or in the market for a different mental health therapist, you should contact Cornerstone Behavioral Health. At Cornerstone Behavioral Health, the goal is to be a global voice for trauma recovery. They are a 100% telehealth agency providing mental health counseling and medication management for adults in Ohio. That's right, they offer a free consultation and accept all major insurance companies or private pay. If you go to cornerstonebehavioralhealth.org and click on the Services tab, you can read the bios of the therapists and even request one of them specifically to talk more about your mental health needs. To learn more about Cornerstone Behavioral Health, just visit cornerstonebehavioralhealth.org to register for a free consultation and response within just 48 hours. Hope starts here. Welcome back to the podcast. Our guest today is Cary Ferguson. He has been an active artist for over 40 years, creating incredible masterpieces of Lake Erie paintings and glass sculptures. His gallery is located at 5890 East Harbor Road. That's Marblehead, Ohio, zip code 43440. Or you can email him at info@fergusongallery.com. And the phone number is 419-734-0600. Cary, thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, I was in your shop a couple years back, and it's just or your gallery, I should say. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have a lot of just unique, eclectic, would you say?
Very eclectic, yes.
Yeah. Before we started the podcast, you were sort of, giving me some insight into how much art and creativity has come from Ohio and its history.
Yeah. I was mentioning the pottery that was made in Ohio, the glass work, Libby specifically, but there are a bunch of others, along the Ohio River, and a lot of beautiful things came from the state of Ohio.
Yeah, you and I have a passion for old radios also.
Yes, love radios.
I don't know what it is about them. It brings back childhood memories, and I just think the design of them was just done so elegantly.
Some of them are just fantastic. I mean, the workmanship, the designs, the colors.
Yeah.
They're, different styles. And,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of addicted to collecting them. A healthy addiction.
Sure.
And love them.
I'm probably getting too far into the weeds here with the radio collection, but do you have a favorite either style of them or look to them? I know for me, I really like that old 50s, 60s plastic kind of look to them.
So there was Catalin, and that's the plastic that it kind of looks marbleized and stuff like that. And then there's Bakelite, and that's your typically like they're brown and black.
Uh-huh.
But the Catalans are highly desirable. And then my favorite are and you don't see them a lot. The first time I saw one was Greenfield Village. Is that in Michigan? The museum?
I'm not familiar,
I,
but
th-
like,
I
okay.
yeah, there, I saw a mirrored radio in the museum, and because of my specialty glasswork that I do, I've had collectors come to me with a broken radio. The mirror was broken or something, and
Yeah.
I would replicate that for them. So basically, I fell in love with those vintage mirrored radios.
Yeah, you were showing me pictures earlier before the podcast, and I might have to get like a separate bank account for my wife, I think, or
Yeah, yeah. Don't
Um,
tell her what you're paying for them.
I could imagine, but they're so beautiful to look at. I like taking, the old radios and just turning them into lamps or to some sort of, centerpiece all in itself, which is kind of ironic because way back then the radio was the centerpiece of the home, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah. I mean, before TV, I mean, that was how the news was spread and people sitting in front of the radio listening to stories and things like that. So it was definitely a very important part of everybody's life.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's a good transition for the interview. Can you spend some time, take as long as you would like, just to share with us about? Let's start with your childhood.
Yeah, I mean, through my whole life, there's been this thread of creating, and my earliest memories go back to coloring with my mother. And my mother was an artist, and she raised 5 children, so she didn't have time to pursue her art. But as I said, I remember as a child coloring with my mother. And, typically it's just, try to stay inside the lines and everything, but she would take these spaces and she would start out with one blue and transition into a lighter blue and then transition into another blue. And I was just really intrigued and amazed by that. And so there's always been this connection with art. And it's funny because as a child, I didn't know anything about art other than painting. I didn't know about the other mediums that were out there.
Mm.
And it's funny because, I would think of, when I thought of art, I would think of a big 4-masted ship on the ocean fighting the waves and everything like that. But then in my teenage years, I used to work with wire. And, I lived in a neighborhood and they would be building houses and I'd go in there and get the scrap wire that was laying on the floor and I would take it home and I'd be in the basement hammering out a piece of wire on a vise and probably driving my parents crazy and then making a bracelet and, earrings and all this other stuff. And in my later teens, I discovered actually, maybe 15, 16, I really started to notice glasswork.
Mm.
And my friend had a cottage on Lake Chautauqua in New York, and he had a beveled glass window in that cottage. And we would go up there, a couple times a year, and I fell in love with that window. And, the beveled glass had the facets on the clear glass and the sun would hit it and there would be rainbows in the room. And I remember vividly sitting at the kitchen table one time, I said, I'm going to learn how to do that. And then it was like, what the heck am I talking about? How am I going to learn how to do that? And, I got back to Cleveland and there was a guy who blew glass in a little town called Peninsula. And, I remember telling him, and he said, oh, there's only one old guy who does that in downtown Cleveland. And he gave me the name of his company, and I looked the guy up, and his name was Walter Langen. He was born in 1892, and it's hard to believe that I worked with somebody who was born in 1892.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And here, he was the only one around who did that type of work. And here I was all of 16 or 17, and he was 80. And, I just started hanging out with him, old time apprenticeship. I never made a cent. I didn't care.
Was he accepting to you hanging around him and watching him?
He was, he was to a point in his life where he probably wanted to pass on
Yeah.
what had taken him his whole life to learn. And when I talked to you before about history of Ohio glass, Libby was, the largest manufacturer of cut crystal in the United States and maybe the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Walter, he actually worked for Mr. Libby a couple times, and Walter was, the brilliant period of cut glass was like from 1880 to about 1920. And Walter, being born in 1892, he was a young guy during that period, and he traveled around to different cutting, facilities. And so by the time, like I said, it faded out around 1920. By the time I met Walter, it was in the 70s. All those guys had passed away.
Yeah.
So Walter was one of 6 guys living in America that was a master, brilliant cutter.
Yeah. And this was in Cleveland, Ohio.
In Cleveland. Wow. So my goal was just to learn how to put that facet on the edge of the glass and make beveled glass windows.
And here you got blessed with having a world-renowned, genuine mentor.
Not only did he do the bevel, though, but he did the cutting.
Wow.
So I walked into his studio, and there would be a piece of glass with a beautiful bird cut on it, or flowers, or butterfly. And, my mind really started, thinking of the possibilities of what I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just kept coming back. And I remember he would be doing something on the wheel, and I would say, hey, let me try that. And he would, because it looks so easy, you're watching a master do something. And he would say, oh, you don't know how to do it, and I would, but what he would do for me was he would set me up with a machine with a stone on it. He would show me a design, and then he'd walk away and go back to work. And I would just sit there and play for hours and hours on end. And we became best of friends. I spent 10 years together with the guy. He passed away at the age of 90.
Yeah.
And so
like ages 16-ish to 26, would you say?
That would be about right. Yes.
Wow. Did your were your parents like, what are you doing? Or were they curious about?
Yeah. I mean, they knew I was doing something pretty cool. They didn't know anything about it,
And they were, I mean, your mother, of course, was very supportive of your art endeavor, right? And
they were worried about me. I was a screwball, and I got in a lot of trouble, and they were definitely worried about what their son was going to do. I just kept going back, and I think they started to see that I was serious about this. But my dad had a business, and I worked there. And I thought that was going to be my whole life. But, when a door closes, a window opens. My dad, this business I thought I was going to work at the rest of my life, little did I know he sold it. So I had to make other plans.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mother at the age of 21, I said, I'm going to start a business. And she's like, well, you don't know anything about business, and I wasn't, deterred at all. I was like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And here we are 44 years later, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah. So did you go to college?
No college.
Okay.
School of Hard Knocks, but I mean, my degree is my, working with this gentleman for 10 years. And
did he influence your paintings in any way as well? Or was that kind of a different path?
I never started painting till I was in my 50s.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dead serious. But I mean, I've been an artist my whole life. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, from the time I was a child, that drive, that vision, that need to create has never left.
That's a great point.
Yes.
I'd love to expand on that thought with you because, I think for people that are creative, right?
Hmm.
Like, a sense of creativity, I believe that that lives within everyone, every single person. And I draw from my wife who, she would say that she's not creative at all.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, like you just have to know how to channel it. Like you have to find what it is that you want to put that creativity into. People that write books are creative. People that build houses are creative. People that bake are creative. And my wife loved to bake.
Yeah.
So next thing I know, she's got this cupcake business,
Yeah.
that's coming out of our kitchen. And
Mhm.
so for me, and what I'm asking you is, do you think that artists, um, they are multi influential? Like when you're an artist or you're creative, you put that into things.
Oh, without question. I
Yeah,
mean, most artists are talented in numerous areas.
there you go.
And to me, you know, and you would understand this. I mean, there's all kinds of gifts that people have. And, it's finding that gift that really gives, I think, a person a sense of, why am I here? What's what's my purpose in life? It might be the gift of, caring for people, or maybe it's making those cupcakes and giving it to the neighbor, or that neighbor, who's lonely,
Yeah.
or, that elderly person who has nobody. I mean,
Hmm.
we just have to find what those gifts are.
Yeah, and for if you have creativity, which again, if you think you don't, come and talk to me, and we we will figure out what your source of creativity is, because it's about service to others. It's about giving back to and connecting with people. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I would imagine one of the most, enjoyable moments for you is seeing the joy that your work gives to other people.
It's very fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more important than the money.
Right. Right.
And the people I've met through my work, and the appreciation. And for me, it's all about connecting with people.
Yeah.
It really is. And I've made, just numerous friends, and have done things that I would never even think of doing in my life, just because of people I've met, and the blessings of, all these different people.
Well, and for you taking, I think another important part of your journey is that you took risks, and that you continue to take risks, and that, I mean, I imagine you would agree that you're still taking risks today. We will get into that in a minute,
Sure.
but that by trusting yourself, and by leaning forward into that you get to bear the fruits, I mean, I can only imagine what it's like without any, experience in running a business, what that was like for you.
It's kind of a never say die attitude.
Yeah.
I mean, when things go wrong, and believe me, they have gone wrong hundreds, if not thousands of
Be honest.
times.
Yeah.
And, the days that it was like, I'm quitting, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And, but then, you brush it off after a few days, and you get back on the horse, and you strive, you go forward. And, it's a constant, I mean, it's stressful.
Yeah.
There is worrying. And art is a funky way to make a living. A lot of people don't gather what the artist goes through. I mean, most people, the largest percentage of people, they want to put their hours in. And, at their job, whether they love it or hate it, they want to put their hours in, and they want that paycheck every week or 2 weeks. The artist, they go out and they buy their material, and they put their time into trying to create something that somebody might want, and then we wait to get paid. And we don't know if we're getting paid, and we might wait years to get paid. And it's a weird way to make a living. And the term starving artist, It didn't come by chance. We all know people that are creative. Some are very good, whether they're musicians, whether they're dancers, whether they're actors. They're lot of people are struggling. You hear, it's like people winning the lotteries. You hear those good stories about, this person won X amount of dollars, but there's how many people that didn't and how many people that lost.
Yeah.
And same with the arts. Like I say, it's not the easiest way to make a living,
No, and to your point about it being, I don't want to say it's not about the money because it's definitely helpful, but
Oh, of course.
it can't. It's an industry. We'll call it an industry for the conversation, but it's not the driving force for the artist because, like, for me and doing my artwork, like I struggle with trying to quantify my hours that I put into the artwork, just like other jobs do. If I'm a plumber and I work 9 hours, I
Mhm.
have a 9 hour billable rate. I can't do that with my artwork. I don't know how. Is that similar for you? I mean, I imagine there are some pieces that you were probably able to do in a short amount of time. Other pieces, an extremely amount of time. Some pieces you finished, you look at, and you're like, just doesn't hit my quality standards.
Right.
I got to start. So like that's insightful.
Yeah, time does not equal quality.
No.
You can paint 100 pictures and maybe hit 3 home runs,
Yeah.
or whatever that number may be. But you wonder why a picture that you might do sells a lot faster than some other ones, and it's that's the reason. I mean,
Hmm.
the person sees it and it strikes a chord, and there's some kind of emotional attachment or whatever it may be, and so yeah, you're not hitting a home run every time you do it. That's for
No.
sure.
And I don't think that it's possible to have like a billable hourly rate for your artwork. So I'm just trying to scratch that out of my mind and you
Yeah.
know.
You know what's funny is I read on a palette today. Sometimes I paint on fiberboard and I wrote some quotes on there. And
Oh,
I just
cool.
happened to pick one up today, and it said something about if I'm doing my art to just make money or to please the viewer, am I really making art?
Mm,
You know?
that's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a good segue to can you give me a little bit of insight into maybe how doing art has been a source of strength for you with mental health?
You know what? It's I don't know why. I mean, I consider myself to be a very driven person, and I just have that need to create, and I can work on something. I mean, I've made projects that have taken me 2 months to make, 3 months to make. And you know what? I get done with a project like that and I look at it and it's like, yeah, this is cool. And what's next? That's
Mm,
always what's next. And it's, I still wake up and get excited about what I do and want to go in. And again, I'm just keep mentioning this. I just that desire to create.
mm,
And I find, people always ask me, do you like painting better than glass, or which one do you like better? And I tell them, I said if glass and painting ceased to exist tomorrow, I'd be doing something else.
right.
I'd be picking
Yeah.
up sticks and making something, or making rocks. And
Sculpting or
and
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I and I'm not limited to glass and paint. I mean, I stick glass in my paintings. I've worked with metal. I've made kinetic sculptures. I've used stone. I'm not limited to a material.
Yeah.
Although my main focus is glass and painting, but I'm not limited to that.
Hmm. So it sounds like what I'm hearing, you sort of articulate that art is what keeps you alive. It's what keeps you energized. It's what keeps you it's what fuels your soul.
It keeps me going. It it fills my life.
Yeah.
I don't have like this big void of why am I here. I it's really interesting for me and satisfying to feel like I'm leaving something
Mm,
behind, footprint, if you will.
yeah.
People are gonna pick up this object or look at this painting and, oh, who did that or whatever, or this is really beautiful. And, it's not a prideful thing. It's just kind of an interesting aspect. I'm a collector, okay? Like you are a collector.
Hmm.
And it's I've been a collector my whole life too. And it's all about when I get something. I mean, I'm researching it. Who made this? Who designed this? When was it made? And if it's a piece of art, not so much a mass-produced item, but I collect art and antiques and cool stuff. Whatever it
Yeah.
may be. Very eclectic, like you said, at my
Your gallery
gallery.
is just beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It's got just it filled with cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm always buying and selling. But my house is the same way,
Is it?
it's just stuff all over that that I love.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really into visual stuff.
I think though too, it's there's something um bigger than yourself, to sell artwork and to leave a footprint knowing that, long after you're gone that you have left something here and that it's enjoyed by other people and passed down from generation to generation, and that has to feel good.
It's very important to me. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I've always been quality oriented.
There you go.
But then, when you're doing, my gallery, I mean, it's 8,000 square feet.
It is big. Yeah.
And, we're talking, two air conditioners and a glass blowing furnace
Hmm.
and
Staff.
employees. And my overhead is massive. And, it's a big nut to crack. So I have to make some stuff that, is more sellable than others.
Yeah, yeah,
There's more people
yeah.
with 50 or $100 in their pocket than there are 1,000. And, so I have to try to fill all those voids.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And that's just again, uh not just being so sort of single-minded into like one path, like you're trying to create artwork, and that has to you have to let people come in and judge it and buy it and critique it and be a part of it too.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I go back to the being an artist is a tough way to make a living.
Mm,
I mean, if you've been in my gallery, I mean, there are literally years of work spread out throughout the gallery. And I mean, that's no exaggeration.
hmm.
And, you know, again, just trying to appeal to a wide range of people. I mean, we're in a tourist area.
True.
I try to appeal to people that want touristy stuff, and then I try to appeal to the advanced collectors. I mean, I've got people that I have a person on the east side of Cleveland. They call it the East Side Ferguson Gallery, and I've got people in other places that have multiple 15 paintings and 50 pieces of glass that I've created. And it's cool that not some people buy one piece, and then there's people that fill their house with my stuff, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, back to taking risks. So tell me if you're okay with a little bit about this new endeavor that I have been watching happening on your property.
Yeah, well, most of my friends are retiring. I say there's no retirement in my plans, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I like working, and again, I like creating, and I'm going to do that as long as I'm able. But at my age, which is 66, to be going into a brand new business on the gallery grounds. I bought 8 acres years ago, and I put up the gallery. And we are currently in the process of putting up a beautiful brand new restaurant and it's going to be called the Beach Glass Lounge. And, play on, a lot of people collect the beach glass, and plus I am in the glass business. And that's going to be built right next to the gallery. And not only that, there's going to be a whole outside venue between the two buildings. And we are going to have outside seating, music, beautiful grounds. And the building is, before I came over, I spent a couple hours in the new structure, and they're just framing it in. But it was designed by an architect in Chagrin Falls. He's designed about 400 restaurants. He knows his business.
You did your research, I can tell.
My son did his research. And he's the one who found the architect and the builder. And but our building is designed to accommodate art. So the art that is in the gallery, you're going to see a lot of paintings. A lot of walls are designed to accommodate paintings. I am in the process of designing a beautiful glass chandelier that's going to be in there.
Oh, wow.
I'm also, like I say, I'm not married to any one or two materials. I'm doing a big stainless steel and glass sculpture that's going to hang from the ceiling in there. And, there's just all kinds of things that are going to be planned, and it's that we're planning. And it's going to be a destination location. It's going to be unique to the area, unique to the state, actually. To have a restaurant with, such a gallery, art influence inside of it is going to be a really neat thing for the area here.
Yeah, well, I am extremely happy for you, and also excited. That's going to be really, really something. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's going. The stuff that's going on, I'm just blown away when I look at it. There's outside porches going on, and big vaulted ceiling, and it's going to be a nice fireplace and all that.
Yeah, is there like an estimated time, would you say, when you think it'll be up and running? I know these things take time.
Yeah, our builder's telling us June, which is very hard to believe, because we're talking 10, 12 weeks away. Mm-hmm. I'm saying July. We're hoping somewhere within that time frame.
Well, let me know when your open house is.
Okay.
I would love to come. Thank you so much, Cary, for coming in today and sharing your story.
Well, thank you so much. And, I really appreciate doing it, and I hope people enjoy hearing it.
Of course. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
At The Wellness Project, we have merchandise. That's right, all mental health awareness themed products. We have hats, shirts, artwork, and candles. There's Quietude for anxiety awareness, Uplifting for depression awareness, Focus for ADHD awareness, and Wholeness for wellness awareness. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, feel free to reach out. Your story and journey towards mental wellness could be a source of strength to others. Thank you again for your support. You know how this digital world works, right? Please continue to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can contact The Wellness Project at thewellnessprojectllc@gmail.com or 419-967-6366. Again, that's thewellnessprojectllc@gmail.com or 419-967-6366. Thank you again for your support and for spreading mental health awareness.